Hello, welcome to another episode of Plat Chat. It's with Custa, and we are going to be going through the Washington Justice today. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think the Washington Justice is another team that needs to be taken down a peg in terms of the fans' expectations and perceptions of them.
Because let's bring some justice.
The fans love to get a team that sucked all last season and hype them up as if all of their problems are fixed. They love doing it because it's just that classic story of like the underdog finally makes it. So they did it in 2019 with Dallas and stuff, and they've done it this year with Mayhem and Washington. And I just do not believe in the Washington Justice and the moves that they made. I don't even think that the moves they made are that good. Huh?
They're just likable personalities.
They're
like
also
Stratos.
Yeah,
fun.
Lovely people. But I don't see them succeeding. Now let's take a look at their roster. And the main things that they've changed here are that they've brought in Raw, Tuba, and Aim God. The other people were all on their roster, but Elevote and Lulsish didn't actually see playtime at all because they ran into visa issues. This is a small roster, and it's an untested roster.
So this is who is the coach? Who is the head coach?
The head coach is John Galt, who previously worked with the Gladiators.
I think Ballin took over this team as the GM and was just sort of like, how the hell do I rescue the Washington Justice?
Yeah, it was in tatters.
Like, I know John Galt.
Yeah.
He was the assistant coach for Gladiators.
Yes, former military guy as well, like very set in like terms of discipline and regiment and that kind of stuff. So I think he's a good pick.
And I think Ballin is like, I trust this guy. I want to take him to the Washington Justice, and I think we can do some good things. And then they looked at the last season's roster, and they're like, holy hell, what the frick do we do to save the team? And I think they've come like halfway, but they've not accomplished or succeeded in.
I know that they were trying to really grab some good players. They just never really got them. And you look at this team, and like she pulled over Raw. So Raw's a solid main tank, and
Raw's all right.
I think he's all right. He's solid. All right. I didn't say he's good. I said he's solid. He is a middle of the pack tank. I would say.
Maybe slightly below average, I would say. But
I'm not a huge fan.
Okay, middle of the pack. I'll take middle of the pack.
Okay, let's just go with middle of the pack then. And then you have Elevote probably behind him.
He's the only off tank. He's the only off tank.
That's a separate topic in and of itself.
Yeah, and that becomes it. But my problem becomes is we have the classic case of Washington finds literally the most niche meta they could ever ask for in stage 4.
Oh, yeah.
Where Stratus gets to play Mei, Corey gets to play Widow and Hanzo, and like everything just sort of came together for them. All their weakest parts got to play redundant heroes.
Yeah.
And so I think they really found this good thing, and they had a lot of wins, and it was great to see Corey and Stratus and all that kind of stuff do well. But if I'm looking at this roster now and I'm like, we got to be prepared for anything, I have no confidence in this team.
Yeah, I think you're spot on.
Let's be clear. They got rid of the important stuff. They got rid of Janice. They got rid of Sansan. They got rid of Hyonu, Guido.
They made the right changes.
They made all the right evictions. They kicked people out of their house that they needed to kick out. The people that they kept are all right. I was just hoping that they would keep the people that are all right and add some people who are good as well.
Yeah.
And let's be clear, like when I say all right, I mean Corey is very good. Yeah. Stratus is all right. But, you know, as a total, the team was
like the American Mangatoo.
Yes.
Who? Stratus? Yeah.
He plays a lot of the niche things, but I don't know if I would feel confident in him having like, let's say, like into a very standard meta of that kind of stuff, because we haven't really seen him pop off on anything like that. The only thing we can all say for certainty that he's really good at is Mei.
Yeah, he had some moments on Doomfist when the team was trying to play that. He seems capable of that. His Pharah was all right.
There's also a tendency for when a team is doing really well, like Washington did in Stage 4, that there's sort of like a weird effect where all of their heroes become like boosted because they play with confidence and they just play as more cohesive as a team. So even if he played really well on Mei and he maybe flexes to some other hero and looks really good in one team fight, it's probably not because of his mechanical skill on that hero he swapped to. It's probably just because he played with more confidence and the team is just hyped. Yeah. So when you look at his performance, I'd say he's really good Mei, but I don't know how that trickles down to his other heroes.
Yeah. So let's begin with the DPS then, because Corey, I think we are unanimously saying, is a fucking good player.
I think he gives me very similar vibes to like Sinatra in the style of like rookie coming in, really starting to show his colors, and you know I think at the World Cup we all really saw what he's made of. I think he definitely has a bit to come. Like the World Cup, a lot of people said he deserved MVP. He had some really big pop-off moments, but he also got caught a lot of times and he made a lot of mistakes in crucial moments. But that's just someone who's coming in with not a lot of experience, and I expect him to make that.
Let's put it this way. I think if you put Corey on the Outlaws, he'd be the best DPS player.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
for sure.
I think Corey, when I watched him at the World Cup, because we got to see so much of him and he was on tracking heroes a lot, I was so impressed at how clean his aim is.
Yeah.
Just his actual aim is nutty. A lot of people are really good at, the snipers, but it doesn't translate over to tracking that well.
Yeah.
I was watching this guy's like Symmetra, and I'm like, he hasn't missed. Yeah. He has not missed a point of damage in so long.
His Tracer is apparently insane too, and we haven't seen it.
See, I used to watch his Tracer in Contenders, and I always thought it wasn't that good because
I think he's leveled up since then.
He may well have done, but also I think with Tracer you've got to take into account a lot of it is to do with decision making and timing. Yeah. You don't actually have to be a ridiculous aimer to be able to be a great Tracer. Prophet, honestly, his aim on Tracer is good, but it's not out of this world.
Sure,
but he's got phenomenal timing and sync up with everybody else, and his movement's great. So I don't know. I don't think it's I don't know what the hell.
But Corey's not really the issue. I think
Corey's the best player on this roster by far. Yeah. Okay, so the rest of the DPS, Stratus we've already talked about. They bring in Tuba. Do any of you know Tuba?
I don't know who Tuba is.
Okay, so I've been watching Tuba for a while. The guy used to flex over even and play a little bit of Diva in the past, but he's very much a Genji. I haven't seen him play that much Doomfist, but a Genji Pharah kind of player. He's this kind of classic flex DPS that plays all the projectile heroes that you would associate with that. He's all right. He's okay. All right. He's not the kind of player that you would have as rookie of the year potential. He played in, so when I was keeping an eye on him was kind of, oh God, when was it? This kind of time period, early 2018, I was looking at him to see if people would bring him in for the 2019 season or even late in the 2018 season. Since then, he has struggled and he has dropped off my radar. And the only reason I know about him is because I was paying attention to him back in 2018. Yeah. God knows how he's done. He had to move to China. I say had to move to China. Maybe he was doing well in China. Fuck knows. But this is not, as far as I'm aware, the kind of player that you want to bolster the ranks of Stratus on Flex DPS.
Last year when we watched the Washington Justice in stage 2 and 3 and they just make some random sub. This almost feels like when they subbed on Stratus as their flex support over Guido. It's just if you sub in Tuba on Hollywood and you're like, wait, what? What's happening? That's the kind of attitude I have towards Tuba.
And maybe Tuba's been brought in to play the more classic heroes like your
Pharahs.
But the thing is,
because does Stratus have a good Genji? I've never really,
as far as I'm aware, no. But who knows? Because Genji's been out of the meta for so long.
Yeah.
But I know that Tuba actually did one of his best heroes was Genji, at least way back then.
Yeah.
So maybe it's to play the kind of heroes that Stratus isn't as good at, and you have Stratus as your niche hero. But even then, this does not inspire confidence, and I feel like you are missing so much potential out of Corey if you can't put him alongside somebody really good.
What this reminds me of is you got Corey and Stratus, and you get to so here's a line of how strong you are, and he gets to here with Corey and Stratus, and then Tuba just sort of rounds it out, and it's just it doesn't make it any better, it doesn't make it any different. It just sort of well, if we get hit a Genji meta, Tuba will play and it'll be okay, but it's not. It didn't make them any better in the DPS setup.
Yeah. I think that's honestly a fair way of putting it.
Would have helped if I had a draw.
Yeah, I didn't really understand what was going on here.
I've never seen a graph that goes like this and then hooks back on itself. Never seen a graph that does that before.
No, but it goes down.
No, it didn't go down. It was supposed to be a straight line. Was that not clear?
No, a straight line that curves down.
No, it didn't curve. No, it didn't curve. It was a straight line that then it's they cauterized the thing. So instead of
now I understand what you mean. You mean the line just stops?
The line just stops instead of looking
That's
like.
That's also not how graphs work, Custa. The lines don't stop.
I say it was a graph. I didn't say it was a graph. You said it was a graph.
True, but if you have a line expressing something, that is a graph.
I'm looking at it as a stats list of your DPS is this strong.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I should really work on my analysis for next year.
The analogies are all over the place.
If you held up a piece of string, it would just be the string.
Yeah, that would help.
You don't add any length to the string. It just...
Tuba is no more string.
No more string.
He's the knot at the end of the string. That's what he is.
Amazing. Okay, so along with Corey and Stratus and the knot at the end of the string, they have. So let's tackle the Lulsish and Elevote problem because it is a problem. This team didn't play with them once in the whole of 2019 in terms of the season because of visa issues. It's the same situation as the Florida Mayhem, where they were brought in because they were the best available people that could try and salvage them in GOATS meta, and who knows how good they are.
So I don't, because they are from Sweden, which makes this a bit problematic for me.
Okay,
but I hope I'm going to let you two say your piece first, give your takes. And I hope you say this analogy because it's spot on. But I don't want to be the first one to say it. So I want to give that. Yeah.
Well, I don't even have an analogy in mind. So we're going to wait for you.
My whole thing is I agree with Sideshow on it's the mayhem effect of these guys were brought up from contenders because they were playing on Team Envy. I think they were both on Team Envy.
Yes, I think Elevote joined first, and he is generally regarded as the better player of the two of them. And then I think Lulsish got brought over to play alongside him
after
at a
Trill
later
went
date.
Up, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, we could just check. But,
yeah, okay, that would help.
But
what is that? Oh no, he was on Angry Titans.
Yes, I know, but I thought did he not play in NA at all? I thought he did. Play at some point.
Yeah,
or maybe I'm just getting him mixed up with Elevote.
I thought Elevote definitely went to Envy, and then I thought Lulsish joined at a later date. Yeah. Lulsish did join from Angry Titans on June. So he joined... Wait a second, where is Elevote?
Well,
Elevote joined in March, and so 2 months later.
Yeah, and then a month later they went to...
Oh, no, 3 months later. March, April, May, June.
No, June to July. Lulsish was only on Envy for 1 month.
Yes.
June 7th to July 4th.
Yes.
14th. So, and that's the thing. So they were both on Envy, but both of their successes are mainly through... wait, can I see his successes outside of GOATS? Sorry, Lulsish.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, he's done well in Europe, but my question becomes is, like... I mean, was he brought in through a GOATS situation, and does he have the ability to match up in these other metas? And the thing is... We have no idea. There is no answer to that question. Yeah. So when we look at this Justice roster, we have... He's the only off-tank.
Yes. No, Elevote is the only off-tank.
Elevote's the only off-tank, and then Lulsish is going to play under Raw. So I feel like... I don't think either of these players are going to be massively incredible. And I think they might be solid, but when we're looking at this team, and as we said, we're trying to bolster this roster... They're just okay.
Yeah. Elevote is generally regarded as like one of the best Western off-tanks that wasn't in the Overwatch League.
But was that only on D.Va in GOATS?
Yeah, honestly, yes. I think it was. I don't even remember him seeing anything else apart from D.Va because the guy has played GOATS for so long, and then even before that, the off-tanks were playing D.Va, and then when he would have been playing Sigma in Contenders, he wasn't in Contenders because he got signed to Justice.
Well, you sort of hinted at it, and I think this is the carry-on and gargoyle of Washington Justice.
It really is.
Of Europe.
Yeah, it is. It's the carry-on and gargoyle.
And when I look at the World Cup, I'm like, okay, both of you played for Team Sweden this year. But I think it was because they wanted to inspire a good vibe within the World Cup team, and then you have Swoosh like, hey, I want to get a new team with new talent, etc. in. But isolating Elevote and Nevix, I think Nevix is the better player of the two, and I think Elevote got the pick ahead of him because he's been good friends with Lulsish for so long.
Yes, but I also think that he had more experience playing recently as well.
Yeah, sure. And I'm just like, do I want to trust in Elevote as my sole off-tank for Washington Justice if you have aspirations? I think Elevote should deserve to be in the league.
Yes, I agree.
But do you deserve to be on like a team that's striving to be like a top 10?
Is this team striving to be top 10 though?
I don't think this team ever gets close to top 10.
I don't think this is... I think this team would be very happy with sneaking into playoffs in like a 12th place because they could have had aspirations. I see where you're coming from in terms of if you had just left Corey, Stratus and Ark on the team.
Well, there's a few pieces here, like Corey, and we know Aim God, like he was a bit, bit controversial in Boston. But
you don't like Aim God? Why don't you like Aim God?
Because I don't think he ever played very well on Boston. And people say, Boston, obviously a dumpster fire that happened last season. I don't think he ever showed very good. And when he did, it was because he was literally playing his own game. he wasn't even helping the team really, and he was he was playing his own style, and that's why like bringing him in as the flex support, as someone who's sort of been, kind of in a rough situation, especially with how many good flex supports are out there. I feel like there could be a better option than Aim God.
I see your point, especially with how many good flex supports there are out there. Yeah. He was good when he played for the Boston Uprising, as far as I could tell. Like, the guy did it YOLO a lot, which was why I was agreeing with you in terms of him playing his own game.
But I think you're selling this team a bit short. I think they're actually like 1 or 2 signings away from being like an above-average team.
The problem is, Jonathan, I don't think they're going to sign people.
Yeah, who are they signing?
No, but I don't freaking know. But I'm saying they could.
Right.
I'm saying they could.
Where would? So who? Rather than who would you sign, what would you sign?
Yes.
I would probably look at upgrading the off-tank role, and
I would get another flex
do I
support.
trust a new flex support? Then I don't think you're making a massive upgrade.
Here's the thing. I don't think they're 2 away from making a good team.
That's true, yeah.
I think you are like... My issue is they have like 4 players that are okay, but you would need to upgrade all 4 to get a good team.
No, but the real problem is that there's not a lot of main tanks on the market. And so I think they're stuck with Roar, which I think is decent.
Yeah.
I think Roar and Elevo is all right. I actually think that'll be all right. My issue is just that the whole team is all right and doesn't really have much potential. They need to be carried by their DPS. Like, this is a tank and support line that need to be carried by their DPS, and they just have not picked up the right people.
Yeah, but the reason I'm saying I think they're 1 or 2 signings away is because they're average or decent. But I think if they pick up 1 or 2 more players that really like makes the team flourish, I think they step up as a team.
No, I think I agree with Sideshow on this one. Is like, this team, I think we can just say, if they had a slogan, it's like, we're all right. Like, I think if you wanted to make them
a slogan.
Yeah, so they're like, I would put them, like, if I was to rate them right now, I'd probably put them 12th. Because I think they're consistent. I think they're consistent.
Yeah.
They're all right, they're thing. But if I was to add something that was like, I think this team can get to top 8, it would take 4 signings.
What the hell?
It would take 4 or 5 signings. You couldn't just add 1 or 2, and they would go like up like maybe 1 or 2 spots. But you need a lot of change to make this team like a top 8 team.
When I look at the rankings that are behind us, and I'm going to bring it up full screen so people can see.
Why did we put Toronto 13?
Well, that's the thing. I actually think I feel better about Washington than I do about Mayhem, about Paris, about London, these kind of teams.
Yeah.
But I think that I feel better about Toronto than I do about Washington.
Impermanent. No, guys, don't do that. This is impermanent.
Oh, that's in Sharpie.
No, I like Justice more. Oh, do I?
I like Justice more than Toronto.
Really?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think... Okay, if I was to kind of break it down to the fundaments, though, I like the support line of Toronto more.
Oh.
Yeah. I like Kriv Kellex.
Kriv Kellex, I like slightly more than Arc and God.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because I think Kriv pulls out mainly. I would say Arc and Kellex, I would put maybe Arc has a slight edge, but I think Kriv is significantly better.
And also, generally speaking, the flex supports are just...
Whoa. Okay.
Don't you talk bad about my boy Kriv.
I realized that Valiant came in after a horrible stage 1 and 2, and they broke Vancouver Titans' win streak, and Kariv was the next Jesus.
I don't care about...
But the hype was a bit too much. No,
I'm with you. Like, I've played with Kriv. I know he has his ups and he has his downs and that kind of stuff. But as someone who's played with him, he is consistent. He doesn't tilt. He does have star moments, and he is just like a really smart person and a good person to have on a roster.
Okay,
I agree with that.
But,
and I think Aim God has like potential highs, but hasn't played in a team where they've actually done anything. Like for an extended period of time. Like even when he was playing with Boston, they weren't playing particularly well.
Okay.
And then he has the potential to kind of be disruptive within the team, whereas Kriv doesn't. And
Kriv has the ability to drag us kicking and screaming to wins as well. Like he's shown he can do.
So this was only the first half, though. In terms of the tank line, I mean, okay, you're comparing Beast to Roar and Lulsish. I give the edge to Washington Justice, but I don't think that it's... I think the edge is more so that Beast could just end up being terrible and you've only got 1 of them, whereas here at least you've got 2. But the edge is not enormous between either Roar or Lulsish and Beast. Yeah. I don't think it's enormous. And then you have Elevo versus Nevix. Yeah. I think that's honestly, that's a 50-50 coin cost. Yeah. And then your DPS. Coin flip. Coin toss. We are losing it. All right. And then you compare the DPS and I give the edge to Toronto.
Toronto, for sure.
Unfortunately, because I think Corey is better than anybody on Toronto, I still give the edge to Toronto because they've got the depth, they've also got the experience, they've got the ability to master any meta. I think Toronto is a better team than Washington Justice.
I think the only strength that I would give to this team, to argue why you would put them there, I think Corey is better than any of the DPS players that exist on Toronto.
Yes, I mean, I totally agree, but can Corey carry this team?
And also, Washington, they travel less, I would like to say, than Toronto, and they have more home stands.
But also, we're not expecting Toronto to blow up. Like, we actually think Toronto are one of the most stable
but
teams.
I think Washington will enjoy staying a lot in Washington.
I'm sure they will. They don't have to travel at all.
Yeah.
Oh, this is actually a really close one.
I think it's very close. I think, given that we wrote Toronto in permanent marker, I'm happy to give Washington 12.
And also, I'd like to say that we already talked up Toronto Defiant during their video, and initially they were more like a 16-15 for us, and then we bumped them up. So let's not keep bumping them up forever. Okay, let's settle with this.
Yeah. So we're good?
Yeah.
And I assume they're up from last season.
8-20 last season. I think that's an over.
Gotta be an over. All right, so our board is starting to take shape, and we have done the whole of the Atlantic Division, and that's a hell of a lot in the lower half. So even though the Atlantic Division, honestly, a lot of these teams have made improvements. Toronto has gotten a lot better.
It's just the Atlantic Division in general. They've always just been the weaker team. Like, you look at it this season, when you see the Pacific Division, it's terrifying.
It really
As I said, I love Valiant, but Valiant is by far
they're going to get eaten alive.
I think Valiant and Fuel, I would say, are very on kind of similar levels. I would put us.
Yeah.
But I think the other teams are just heads and shoulders above everyone else.
And I think that's also the problem when it comes to rating the Valiant. Like, I'm going to want that 20 spot back because dude, Boston have to play against these teams. Valiant have to play against the monsters. Anyway, we'll get into the Pacific Division in our next video. So stay tuned for that.